Welcome back to Teach a Man to Fish channel. Today's video is a suggestion made by one of you, my commenters down below. My last video was of a carbon steel skillet on an induction cooktop. One of the commenters said they'd be interested in seeing a carbon steel skillet versus a cast iron skillet. This is a head-to-head between the two skillets on an induction cooktop. Of course, I've got numerous cast iron to choose from. I thought about using, this is one of my favorites. This cast iron skillet is probably about 120, maybe 140 years old. That gate mark is old casting technology that gives it the date. This was a find, and I'll put a link to the video up here. I found this in a DAV thrift store. It was covered in gunk and ended up cleaning up nice and becoming one of my favorite skillets. The problem with using one of my favorite skillets, this ring that runs around it, I worry about it putting the gap between the surface and the induction oven and impacting the magnetics and how well it works. Most likely, unless you're a treasure hunter like me, you're not going to have one of these, or you spend the money to go out and get one of these special. They are different. They're not made like the modern cast iron from Lodge. However, most likely you're more concerned with a modern Lodge. So I'm gonna go ahead and break out this Lodge skillet. Most likely what you're gonna wind up using, maybe sometime in a future video, I'll use one of these older cast irons with the heat ring around it and see how that does on the induction cooktop. But for now, heavier, thicker, in theory, will spread the heat out more on the induction cooktop than this carbon steel will. Carbon steel, very thin, fast reacting. You do get a hot spot in the center where the induction magnetic gets instilled into the skillet is right there in the center, and you do get a hotter spot. But in theory, we'll see if this rings true or not. On the cast iron, it will spread that concentration of heat out better across the whole skillet. Let's do a head-to-head. This is just gonna be a straight up cook, and we'll see how it does. Let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to run these both side by side. We're gonna start off heating the skillet up to number 5. We should start getting a little smoke. As with all carbon steel and cast iron skillets, don't put your bacon into a cold skillet. You let it get hot. So right now, inside there, though, that magnetic field generator is heating up the very center of this carbon steel skillet. And the other side is the cast iron. I don't know if you can make that out in the video, but you're starting to see some of the smoke. I'm actually gonna spread this around a little bit. I'm gonna cook it the way I normally would. So I spread the heat out a little bit before I put anything on. I do the same thing on gas, induction, doesn't really matter. We'll do 3 pieces of bacon in each. This will also be a nice comparison on the seasoning and the nonstick in each skillet. Now, as we talked about in the last video, carbon steel is a lot quicker than cast iron. I'm actually gonna back this down 1. So you get 10 points over here. I'm gonna go down to a 4. I'm gonna back it down to a 3. You can see through here, this center part, the bacon is getting more and more done, whereas on the outside edges here, normally I would pull that over and I would put these, that's all I do is just kind of mix it around, and I put these outer edges more towards the middle. It doesn't take long. Same thing on the other side. Take it down to 2. And a few more seconds and these will be done. So that's the carbon steel version, pretty fast cook. Now we'll go ahead and switch over to the cast iron Lodge version and see the differences between the cook. Same thing, first of all, we'll start it on a 5, let this skillet heat up. spread the heat around some. Starting to get a little bit of smoking. It's taking a little bit longer, of course, than the carbon steel skillet. We'll spread that heat around the same way we did the other one. A lot of people get worried about damaging the surface. As long as you're not crazy with your cast iron, you can see on this surface, I've got no scratches. Some of that sound that you hear is me actually running across the marking. You might hear that. That's just running across these marks. Taking a lot longer to heat up. So I'm gonna do a little bit of prep work in it. This is a blended oil. It's got some grapeseed in it, but several different types of oil in this. It's made by Crisco. Tip or trick, use a coffee filter to spread your oil around because it's not as prone, if at all, to leave lint behind. So just a little bit of prep work with this skillet. All right, I think we're ready for our 3 pieces of bacon for comparison. Back it down one, running a little hot. Same as the carbon steel skillet. But I'm already noticing that the heat looks more spread out. There's no doubt that cast iron results in a more even cook. It's happening pretty quick too. Take it down another one. And by the way, this is just run-of-the-mill bacon. It's not thick cut or anything fancy. No maple, no anything. It's on the cheaper side of the scale of bacon. Well, here it is. We're starting to see the same thing occurring. That hot spot right in the middle. But I'm actually liking the way this bacon is cooking a little bit better. Not quite so hot or temperamental as I don't know how else to describe it, but the other one you've got to be a little bit more attentive to prevent burning on the carbon steel skillet. Back it down one more. Starting to smoke. Might get alarm any minute now. This is a lot of smoke coming into this house. That's how the family knows when dinner's done. That smoke alarm goes off. Oh, got a little too done right there in that section. That one is done. That one is done. And that one is done. We'll do a quick cleanup just to show you how easy the cleanup is of both the carbon steel and the cast iron. We'll just show you, you basically clean them both the same way, the carbon steel or the cast iron. While it's warm like this, douse it with water, or actually pour the oil out first, douse it with water, light scrubbing, ready to go back in the cabinet. Maybe oil it down again. Oh, that's interesting to note. I forgot to show you this. I hope you can make it out in this video. There you can see where that heat is being applied to that skillet. With that boiling water, you can watch it track. So when I say I'm spreading the heat around, that's this. Moving that magnetic field around the skillet. All right, that's ready to be poured off and then just wipe down. There you go, a clean skillet. Put it back on the heat to dry for a little bit so it doesn't rust in the cabinet. It's that easy to clean it. A cast iron or a carbon steel skillet, same process. As far as the induction cooktop here, that glass surface is actually not that hot. All the heat is going through the magnetic field into the pan. So you can see it's on right now. I don't know if you can make out the smoke, but that's heating back up to dry the skillet out some. I removed that. You can actually see the water standing on it. All cleaned up. Didn't even have to use any soap or water, or cleans right up. I will say this about the Duxtop. Be careful as you move your pan back this way that you don't come onto this plastic surface. One of my previous cooks, I did that. It was a very large pot, and I ended up just putting a little burn mark on this plastic, so that's something you want to avoid. I really do like cooking with this induction cooktop. I'll put a link down below where you can go to purchase that. Portable when you're out and about and all you have access to is electricity, maybe not gas, or camping, or whatever your reason. It's convenient and it does work well. All right, let's get down to brass tacks. So which one do I prefer? They both have unique ways of cooking, different styles. If you were to try and pin me down and say, Matt, you have one to reach for, oh man, that's tough to say. I'm gonna weasel out on you a little bit. If I were traveling and on the go, much lighter, I would go with the carbon steel skillet. If I'm here in my kitchen at home and this was in the cabinet, I would go with the cast iron. Just two different styles of cooking. Both end up with delicious bacon. The cast iron absolutely does spread the heat out a little bit better from that central portion. Makes the cook a little bit more friendly, doesn't take quite so much tending. It is a friendlier cook. A carbon steel skillet can get away from you real quick and you'll wind up with burned bacon in that little central portion. I'll put where you can purchase these, all of this equipment that I use, with the exception of this. 2 post-production side notes. Number 1, come on back in the future, there's gonna be cat head biscuits, a Southern tradition, and you get to see my version of it. And number 2, there's something that can never be beaten with cast iron or carbon steel skillets, and that is real flame. If you are where you can find real flame, that's the thing to use on both cast iron and carbon steel. So YouTube says that this video is perfect for your viewing habits, and this playlist is all of my other cast iron cooking videos. If you enjoyed it, please click like, subscribe, share, and come on back for more.